Okay. Hey everyone. So welcome to another episode of the Day-to-Day podcast. And as usual, we have the both of us today, and we'll be discussing
Yeah,
on
the same boring faces.
yeah. We'll be discussing a few topics that we have selected, and to see let's get ahead with the topics. So the first one we thought of discussing is the first that we thought of discussing is the regarding Saudi and their initiative to plant. I think it was 10 billion trees. Let me share the article
In a
and we can.
billion trees or something, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, 10 billion trees.
Yes. So this is what they are planning to do. Saudi, they are going to have an initiative to plant 10 billion trees in the desert, and it is one of the initiatives of the Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman. Based on what the article says, it seems as it's considered controversial by a lot of people there as well,
Mm-hmm.
because the number 10 billion is apparently it's I mean it's a huge number. So what they say is if they are going to plant, I think 10 billion trees, if it's within 10 years, I think they'll have to plant 1.6 million trees per day. That's their
Do they?
yes.
How do they plan on? Is it like a seed bombing thing or
I'm
like
not sure.
no?
From what I read, they are going to. This is the type of tree that they are experimenting. The gaff tree.
Okay.
So it's a tree that grows in very like rough desert environments, which
Mm-hmm.
can like get water from even the driest sands. But I'm a little worried about like how this works out, because if the trees are getting the little like whatever available moisture or like water within the earth and in those areas,
Mm-hmm.
then they will probably face more issues with water, like getting water for consumption, isn't it?
Yeah, because there's a layer of water under there, right? I mean,
Mm.
that's how it works out. But I'm not sure. I think Saudi's water dependency, they mostly get water from the sea, if I'm not mistaken, or those countries, right? So
Yes.
desalination,
So this is what they are saying. So the
treated
minister of environment said no
rainwater, something.
groundwater or water produced in fossil fuel powered desalination plants would be used to irrigate the trees. The project will rely on treated water and renewable water resources such as or water sources such as rainwater, seawater, and cloud seeding. So they would directly take seawater and put it there, or it's the
Mm-hmm.
other two, cloud seeding or rainwater. But they will not be using
Okay.
their groundwater to like or their desalinated water to irrigate the trees. Um, what else is it? This is another, how do you say, one of the initiatives to go ahead with the Paris Agreement targets to reduce the carbon emission, like the emissions by 2030. So this is also one of the goals that they have right now, based on this. So it's one of the initiatives for their carbon emission goal. And yeah, what is this? The World Economic Forum launched in 2020 an initiative to grow, restore, and conserve 1 trillion trees worldwide, and said nature-based solutions can provide up to one third of the emissions reductions required by 2030 to meet the Paris Agreement target. So this is their share of going for this. And let me check. So my opinion is that like at the moment, Saudi Arabia, like the country itself, they are doing a lot of um, how do you say, tourist attraction programs. Isn't as far as I can remember, they are trying to get more international attention to the country because they know that their oil reserves are depleting from from what I remember, like multiple they are doing a lot of initiatives these days, like they are doing a lot of artificial constructions to get lot of tourists and international attraction because their petroleum sources of course are will be depleted in a few years. I think this is something that you can comment on, right?
Yeah, so now if you look at the countries like the UAE, right? You might think, the on the Saudi Arabian Peninsula and all that, their massive income is from tourism, from oil, but actually it's not. It's their main one of the main drivers of their sort of income is tourism. They've been able to transform it and diversify themselves into going sort of not depend on just one massive thing coming in. So Saudi is a bit late to that party, right? So they realized that relying on oil too much is not going to work for them, because when the oil prices plummets, they are screwed, right? Because
Yeah.
Saudi is sort of like sort of a welfare state as well, right? Where a lot of welfare is given to the people because they have this massive economic based on oil, right? So they have that massive amount of money to give welfare. But when that money starts slowing down, you need to sort of figure ways out of that. So I think they are on the fast track to diversify, but I mean it's not an easy thing, right? So why the UAE was able to um, easily transition to tourist economy, because they tended to be a bit liberal and less sort of uh, conservative, like unlike the
Yeah, yeah.
Saudi government. Not, I wouldn't say government, but sort of there are other third parties in Saudi who's doing this. So I think until recently, I'm not sure. Right? Very recently, but you needed to. You can't apply for visa to Saudi,
Oh,
and
visa
sort
as
of
in
there
like,
wasn't a tourist visa for Saudi.
okay, okay, okay,
To
okay.
go into
Wow.
Saudi, you need to
Okay.
get special permission from someone who's living there, and it's a whole process, right? So unlike like for Dubai, Abu Dhabi, it's nothing like that, right? You can just apply for visa and come in, and some so that's apply for visa for countries like us, but the US and UK, I don't think you need to get visa. But there is, at least even if you need to, there's a formal process of doing it. But for Saudi there isn't, so they are trying to put that away. um, uh,
I-
it's not going to be easy, because there seems to be some religious extremist groups
yeah,
is
yeah,
there as
yeah,
well,
yeah.
who push
Because
towards
I
Saudi.
heard from some of my friends whose family is living in Saudi. Like this friend that I have is Egyptian originally. His family has been living in Saudi for like almost 20 plus years, but they
Okay.
don't give citizenship to anyone who was not born in the
Yeah.
country. So they are just, it's temporary
So that
how long you stay than you were born, like.
So the only time how that sort of worked out was where foreigners came and lived there and sort of didn't have to adhere to the massive, like the rules and regulations of Saudi society was, I think the US, when the oil companies moved in, they had areas where it was like just for the guys from
Okay.
America, right? So it was like a
Okay.
totally country within a country, right? So they had
Okay,
like
okay.
McDonald's and stuff like that. They had like baseball games, and it's like a whole totally different thing. So they didn't step out of that place. They were just totally in that area, sort of living off that part of thing. But I mean, it's good that they're trying to change, because I mean they know
Yeah,
that
yeah,
they
yeah.
can't be like this forever, right? I mean,
from
it's
from
good that
what
they're
I
taking
read
effort in.
in some of these comments and multiple articles is that the king or like the prince is actually understanding that they can't continue this level of control over what they are doing and
Yeah,
be open to international
yeah,
people, but but
yeah,
but they have a huge, how to say, huge number of people against these movements as well. Even in this
yeah.
article, they say that these the crown prince's mega projects are often out of touch with the realities. Like, these are comments that a lot of people are giving because he wants to do a lot of big changes, but it's not that easy. And I believe they understand they can't do this the same way, and they can't also shift very quickly to a Western way of working as well. So they are, I think, trying their best to
So
take
they're sort of stuck in the
these steps.
middle.
Yeah,
They're
yeah.
trying to shift, but they have to keep the sort of clergy,
Yes, yes,
those
yes.
guys happy as well, right?
Because that's how
So
they control the country. It's they
yeah.
do most of the controlling part is through religion and the like rules and regulations. So they can't change it instantly. It's similar to what's happening within the the new pope is changing, or like he's influencing decisions in Catholicism, like regarding certain areas. So it's
We are going into the controversial areas
yeah,
now.
yeah. This I read a book recently, which this one of the Dan Brown books. What was it? It's called Origin. The Origin. So this book
Uh-huh.
also discusses like this scenario, like of how
Mhm.
religions they are changing, and again, there's a lot of people who believe the how to say the original concept of religion, and they try to resist this. So there'll always be these
Mhm.
two
Mhm.
groups, who's
Mhm.
progressive as well as who tries to stay on the same line. So this is what they have to figure out
Mhm.
in Saudi as well, I think.
Mhm. So, I mean, okay, I'll sort of try to bring this back to sort of the
Mm.
topic we started off with, the whole replanting thing.
Yeah, yeah.
So this actually was started, if I'm not mistaken, they tried to do this in the Sahara as well,
Mm-hmm.
sort of,
Mm.
because there was a desertification. So there's a border, right, between
Mm.
the Sahara and the sort of lush green areas towards the Central Africa, right?
Mm.
Um, there was an issue where, so the sort of area between the Sahara and the area is called some special area. I come Sub-Saharan plains or something. I'm not too sure about the name. Um, those were facing desertification,
Mm.
right? So there was a plan in place to sort of reforest part of the Sahara to control that,
Mm-hmm.
right? And
How long ago?
so they initiated the project. Let me just see if I can
How
if
long
I
ago
have
was
a.
this?
This was, I think, before the whole COVID
Okay, okay,
this thing.
okay.
Replanting Sahara in Morocco. Sorry, Morocco.
Mm. Like in this article also, they are saying China is also greening a third of its Kubuki Desert, which Saudi
Yeah,
Arabia
yeah.
has studied.
It's so this whole desertification is not a just it's not just in the Saudi Arabian Peninsula, right? So, oh right,
Mm.
sorry, this is called the Great Green Wall.
Great Green Wall. Okay.
Yeah,
Let me search if I can.
Great Green Wall, Africa. Let's search for that. So it has been going on since 2014. So the different countries in that whole belt have different goals of a number of trees to be planted. So I think Senegal has a no, sorry, yeah, a lot of countries they are supposed to plant
There's
millions
a
of trees, not billions.
mm,
A billion trees is not a very realistic target. I'm not sure why
but I think
this
like
has been.
in this previous article they were mentioning that they are contributing to this UN goal of
Uh-huh.
uh, of I think 1 trillion trees all over the world. So it's
Okay.
to reduce carbon emissions.
Okay. Sure.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
this is
Oh
the
yeah, there we go.
project. Oh yeah.
Because I mean desertification is happening everywhere, right? I mean even in the US to a certain
Mm-hmm.
extent. It's just the deserts seem to be expanding at a rate that's uncontrollable. That's because we've affected some natural cycle in a way that we are not sort of sure about.
Okay, here this is the image of
It's called
the
the Sahel area. Yeah, that's the sort of.
yes. So it's still just a concept,
It's in
nothing.
progress.
Yeah,
It's in
it's in
progress.
progress.
Yeah,
Okay,
they
okay.
started off in some time into the 14, I think,
Mm-hmm.
and they're sort of trying to get there. But it's a I mean it's a good project. I'm not
Mm-hmm.
sure how it will impact how the global climate, because I mean this is the Sahara Desert plays some role in the global climate as well, if I'm not
Mm-hmm.
mistaken, based on how the winds work and
Mm.
rains in South America and stuff like that. Or I'm not sure if it's the other way around, but yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
I mean, it would have a definite impact, right? So
yeah, yeah,
same
yeah.
thing. So in Saudi Arabia, if they plant these sort of trees, that's going to be an issue. My other issue is they are planting just one type of tree, right? In Saudi Arabia,
Oh,
uh,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
not sure how that's going to work out, because it's not. It's like you're cultivating the land, right?
yeah, yeah,
Essentially,
yeah, yeah.
it's just going to be like one tree across, one tree everywhere. It's not going to lead to like biodiversity per se. It
Mm.
might just end up screwing the place. It's
Yeah,
like
yeah.
I
True,
don't know.
true,
It
true.
can happen, right?
Because
Because
it can affect the existing, let's say, biodiversity, like you said, the and animals or like the plants that are existing could not have water because of these plants, and they could just die, and
exactly.
it could completely change. But another statement they've mentioned is like research regarding. Research found out that the Arabian Peninsula is likely to become uninhabitable by the end of 21st century under a high impact emission scenario. So this is also one of the reasons for them
So
to.
if they want that to stop, they should stop pumping oil and
Yeah, I
invest in
mean,
solar.
yeah, it's not gonna happen. So
So, but
they,
the thing is, China has realized that, right? I mean, China
yeah, yeah, yeah.
is, although we sometimes diss China for certain things,
What China
I mean,
mentions, I can't remember the year. They are saying they are going to peak their carbon emissions by some year. Was it 2030? They're going to peak their carbon emissions by
uh,
2030, and it's going to be zero by 2050, or if I remember correctly.
I mean, they can probably. I mean, based on China's governing model, they can
Yeah,
actually
yeah,
do
yeah.
that, because you can implement things faster the way it's
Mm,
how they're governing it.
yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
that's an advantage, right?
Yes, yes.
You can't really ignore that. And plus, I mean, about 70% of the solar panel output is actually from China, so they
Mm,
are heavily invested. And the electrification, which sort of is about the next topic as well,
yeah,
of
yeah, yeah.
vehicles, is massive in China, right? Because
Mm,
I mean,
mm-hmm.
they found out the hard way that pollution is killing the people, right? I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah,
they
yeah,
have
yeah.
rules against putting your vehicle on. So we have this now in Sri Lanka. We have this whole odd even thing, right? Where you can go
Yeah,
if you have an odd number,
yeah.
you need to go on an odd day and something like that. So they had a rule like that for vehicles in
Oh,
China, right? In certain cities, because the pollution was massive,
mm.
right? Pollution was massive because of vehicles alone. So to cut down on that, they sort of uh,
I think there
brought
was
that
a
in.
huge problem with Shanghai a few years ago. Is it better now? Probably, if they.
So yeah, it's much better now, right? Actually, it has improved. Like there were some cities in China that was like there's an air quality index, right, that looks
Mm,
at it. I mean, some cities don't even register. I mean, in that tell that has nine
okay.
digits, and it's like three, four nines, and it doesn't register anything. It was that bad at the time, but now that is not sustainable, right? It's
Mm.
not. It's not. So China has much more issues to worry about than just this whole
Air
pollution
pollution.
control.
Yeah,
What
yeah.
about the whole water table as well? That's a
Mm.
different issue.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, they're doing something for, because they know they've suffered, right?
Yeah, yeah,
One,
yeah, yeah.
and they don't want to sort of keep suffering. They want a way out of it, and they want the world to know that they are an example, and
Yeah, 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 yeah.
they might do it, right? I mean,
They can do it.
I hope they do it. I hope they do
Yeah,
it. Actually,
yeah. Out of all the
that's what I'm
countries in
looking
the
at.
world, they probably have the highest possibility of getting this through done.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Not America, not
No,
Europe even.
no, because it's Europe is a mess because of EU, and
Yeah.
US is it's a mess on its own. So
Anyway, it's
yeah.
a mess though. Yes.
Okay, then let's move on to our next topic because we talked about electricity. I think
Electric
you're much more of an expert on this
electrification.
since you drive an electric. vehicle yourself.
Yeah, hell yeah.
So
Environment
yeah,
friendly,
Ford
man.
released a new electric.
Electric vehicle.
Yes.
So this isn't like a totally new category of vehicle. It's so now if you look at the earliest, the first thing that the Ford guys released, it was they released uh, the Mustang Mark E.
Mm,
Was that what it's
I
called?
think
Yeah.
so. Yeah.
That was released some time back, and they sort of came up with the whole Hummer concept.
Yes.
Was that Ford or was that someone else? That's GMC, right? I'm sorry,
Yeah,
got
that's
dropped
not
mixed
Ford.
up there a bit. So yeah, I mean, so Ford released that, right? So that was like a sort of uh, new sort of segment, new brand new vehicle in itself, right?
Mm,
But what they've done here is taken an existing vehicle, the best-selling vehicle in
yes.
the
Yes.
US, the Ford F-150, and just made it electric. Right, it's as
Version of it.
simple
Yeah.
as that. Right, so made it electric uh, in a proper way, not like how you just just add a battery to an
Yeah.
existing
Mm,
sort of ICE platform.
yeah.
Right,
And
so
given
ICE
it like
is internal
features
combustion engine.
unique to its own as well.
Exactly, right. So that's a massive selling point, and it's so when you consider the range and the torque and all that, it seems
Mm,
like a good vehicle,
yeah.
right? So
The
it's
range
up to
is
sometimes.
the range is good, but what I saw was the existing F-150, which is the normal one, it has a range of 400 miles for the full tank. So that's what they say. So if, they say that it will be a little difficult for these like very critical people about their range for them to convert to the electric one, but there'll definitely
Yeah.
be people converting to the electric vehicle because it's pretty good, the features that are
It's
given.
pretty good, and they have a caveat there because there are a few things that are coming in, right? So they have a massive, now you've seen the frunk of the Teslas, right? It's a very small sort of tiny frunk that you have, right? But these guys have like a massive sort of front trunk, as well as
Yeah.
a sort of like a standard 15-foot bed in the back, right? So that's a massive storage space, right? You can go on like really long trips and do stuff like that. And the good part is they have like a lot of power outlets
Yes, this one.
across in the truck itself, so you can power stuff and do all that.
Yeah, from what I read, they
And the
can power
interior is
even
like
like
properly modern.
heavy, like very heavy
Yeah.
industry material, like equipment.
Yeah, so not just that. So I think if you get a special sort of, I'm not sure how they do it, but apparently it's supposed to, if you have it plugged into your house, right?
Yes.
If your house has a power failure, the truck can power your house for up to 3 days. I'm not
Yes,
sure how
up to
that works.
3 days.
There's
Yeah,
probably some air
yeah,
quotes, some
yeah,
condition for that 3 days, but I mean
yeah.
still you can power your
They
house for
they
some
they need to
period.
have some special conversion equipment or some kind of equipment
Yeah.
for that purpose. But 3 days. That's what it said.
Yeah. So I mean that's kind of cool because I remember the Leaf technically. So the car that I have technically can do that as well, power your
Okay.
house, but the contraption that you need to connect to do that is just it's very cumbersome, right?
Okay.
So you can't really do that. It's not an elegant solution. So Ford's is probably not as elegant as probably what something that Tesla could have come up with, but it's better than the sort of standard that we have right now for solutions like this, right?
And
So
it's also the system, like the screen, or like the OS that's running in the car. It's also mentioning how long like the vehicle can drive based on the load that is being dragged as well. So it
oh,
can
that's good, right? Yeah.
yeah, the base model can apparently take up to 3,000, sorry, 7,000 something pounds. Yeah, I hate pounds, I can't understand this.
Yeah, so so that's about just divided by, that's about 3,500 kilograms, a bit less than that, about 3,000 kilograms.
Yeah, so 7,000. So, yeah.
Oh yeah,
So
a
it's
bit more or less. Yeah,
3. So yeah,
3,000.
so 3,000, roughly a little bit more than 3,000 kilograms can be taken, and the model the high end model can take up to 10,000 pounds. Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah, that's good.
That's not bad. I mean, so it's like this, right? So now this was like a surprise out of nowhere. Because
Hmm.
this wasn't really in the news per se.
Yeah,
They
yeah,
had
yeah, until they released.
until they release it, right? So they the GMC released this whole Hummer concept, right? That's out. Then Rivian was the other one, right? So actually, Rivian was the first before even the Cybertruck. It was Rivian who sort of revealed that thing. I actually liked the Rivian. It had a longer range than these guys. Rivian's range was 600 miles, if I'm not mistaken,
Hmm.
right? And they sort of target it as a sports activity vehicle, if I'm not
Hmm.
mistaken, right? So, and see, the thing is, they are building it from scratch, right? So they've sort of thought about this whole storage piece, and how everything is gonna work, and they have like a sort of have like a storage area in between the passenger cage and the whole truck bed in the back, right?
Hmm.
So they have an area there, like a blank space where you can put like long items through
Hmm.
it, right? And they've sort of built in certain sort of apparatus where you can just put it in, and when you pull it out, it's like a whole cooking area where you
Okay.
have like
Hmm.
cookers and stuff, and a fridge and stuff like that, right? So they've thought of the whole end to end
Yeah.
deliverables in that area. But I mean, Ford, they are like a massive company. They can just they can afford to do it. I mean, they
Yeah,
did the
yeah,
right
yeah.
thing here without just thinking too much. Okay, let's see what happens with this. And
They are also building, they are also supporting the charging network. That's what they're saying. One problem that they discussed is that most electric vehicles have their own proprietary charging, like,
yeah, that's
cable,
something
like
that they need to
the
solve.
port, I'm not sure. So this is one of
Yeah.
the issues that they're trying to address. Either they have to come up with something like USB-C, or they
So that's the thing, right? So what Tesla wanted to do was they put out the I'm not sure whether it's like this, right? So I'm not sure I can't remember what that's called, right? So um, there are certain charges, right? So in Sri Lanka, this is known as a European charging standard,
mm,
and there's another Japanese. So Japanese, when they say Japanese standard, that's called the CHAdeMO standard,
mm-hmm.
right? So that's sort of the standard, but apparently this is apparently better,
Mm.
right? Because most of the European companies are sort of looking into this now. They are looking at sort of they have like a 200 volt charging and stuff like that,
Mm,
right?
mm, mm.
So they can deliver it through this mechanism, right?
Okay.
Apparently, Chadmo has some trouble. I don't know. That's like a discussion that they're having, right? So this is one standard that they can stick to. But again, what happens is now what Tesla uses is totally different,
Mm.
right? So Tesla uses totally different charger, and like if you develop like another
Yeah,
charging, also the software comes into play as well, right?
yeah, yeah,
I mean, sometimes when you plug this in, if the software doesn't, if it's not optimized to recognize each other, it's not gonna charge at the
yeah.
optimal capacity,
Mm,
right?
mm.
It's gonna charge you, but it's not gonna be like be good for you, right? It's again, it has to be something like USB-C that comes in, right?
So in Sri Lanka, how is the charging network for these different type of cars? Like, you obviously have a way to charge. That's why you have the car. How is
Yeah.
it doing with Tesla?
So where I am, there are two chargers actually. There's a one charger for European vehicles, which is this particular charger,
Mm.
right? And the other is for like the normal, just like this is slow charger, right?
Okay.
uh, Slow charge is like the daily charger, right? So
Oh.
my vehicle has two ports, right? One
Mm.
is a slow charging port, the other one is a
Okay.
fast
Can you
charging
can you
port,
see the
right?
screen that I've shared? Like the
Yeah.
image.
So
Is it something similar?
it's like my slow charger is you see two areas, right? The bottom part and the
Yeah,
top
yeah,
part.
yeah.
So the slow charger is just the top part,
Okay, okay.
something like that. right? If I, yeah, it's something like that. You just, it's just the top part, right? Uh, and the fast charger is a totally different thing.
Okay.
It's a massive bigger this thing.
Okay. Okay.
Um, so fast charging to do it on daily basis is not a good thing. It's bad for your battery, and there's
Okay.
a certain
Okay.
certain issues, right? So you're supposed to slow charge it, right? So that your
Mm.
battery health is maintained. So I do that on a regular basis. But if you want to go outstation, right, you would need to do fast charging, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
fast chargers mainly have, since the Leaf is pretty popular here, has the SADMO charger, which my car also supports, right? So I mean, you can just plug it in and it charges, right? So the
Okay.
European, this particular charger is in Sri Lanka. It's called the European charger. I'm not sure. There's a particular name for this. I can't
Okay.
remember.
Okay. Okay.
Um, and that is what gets. Um, there are not a lot of chargers in this for this particular charging standard. So it's hard to find that. So now I'm not sure what's going to happen with that, because if they start dropping Chadman and start getting this, we'll have to change all our chargers.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's going to be another pain in the this thing.
Yeah.
So let's see how that works out, because I mean, currently we have some issues with now some of the chargers after Colombo, after Katunayaka, some of the chargers are not available right now, because I mean they're having some trouble with repairing them, because you have to bring certain components from abroad, and they've like sort of banned all
Okay.
those imports.
Now you can't bring most of the stuff.
Yeah, so that's the thing. So the thing is, in Sri Lanka, still I wouldn't recommend you to buy a electric vehicle as your only vehicle, right?
Okay.
Although I do, unfortunately, but that's not something I did consciously. Um, uh, Electric, I would say, is the best second vehicle, right?
Yeah.
If you're doing mainly city running, if you don't go outstation, I mean, electric vehicle is a really good option, right? Because you're sort of independent as well, right? I mean, when they jack up the fuel prices, right?
Yeah.
And you don't have to go in and wait in the what do you call line to get petrol pump, right?
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
can just go to the, you have your go home and just plug it in,
Yeah.
and
Worst
next
case
day you're
scenario, you
charged, you
can
can
plug.
go
Yeah.
anywhere.
Like how is the difference? We are going a little bit off topic, but I just want to know, like, how different is the expenses for you if you are charging at home versus if you are charging from a network?
So that depends, right? So now I think the electricity board allows you to get this particular package, right? Um, for specifically for people with electric vehicles, where there's a very lower rate at night,
Okay.
right? So where you can charge your vehicle at,
Okay.
right?
Okay.
So
The peak
generally,
off peak. Yeah.
or is it just a concert? I'm not too sure. I didn't get that package anyway, because we had a small arrangement where our units were less in one section of the
Okay.
house, where we could get sort of lower charges, right?
Okay.
So we used that, and my monthly bill was like 2,000 for the whole section, right? So
Wow.
car charges would have been less as well, right? So if I was running a petrol vehicle, it would have easily cost me like something like 15,000,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
because
That's
I did the same sort of running before I had an electric vehicle, and that cost me 15,000 per month in petrol.
And when you charge at a charging network, like how much does it cost to get a full charge?
So let's say, so when you say full charge, if it's from 0 to 100, I mean, that usually you don't charge like that, because you don't go to 0.
Yeah.
But let's say if you're charging from about 20% to about 90%, it can cost, it'll anyway be, probably maximum would be $1,000,
Okay. Okay.
₹1,000, right? It
Wow.
can go a bit higher, but for that ₹1,000, you get about let's say 90 kilometers.
Okay. Okay. I mean,
So that's a bit more than
yeah.
10 kilometers per rupee, 10 rupees per kilometer.
I mean, at the end, it's
If
still.
you charge, but if you're charging at home, it's much less.
Yes, exactly. That was the thing. I was thinking like it would cost you more to charge at home. This is what I was thinking, but it's apparently quite less. Wow.
Quite less. Yeah, actually, charging from outside is very a bit about 2 or 3 times expensive. because there's a profit margin, there's infrastructure cost, they need to cover all that, right? So charging, okay. So
So
that's
for
that
these
sort of.
guys also, that I think they were mentioning that they in the US they have around 65,000 charging points around the country. I think is what I read.
Okay. Or are they going to get 65,000 charging points?
Probably that's the goal, maybe charging.
Because the issue is, it's like this, right? So if you have you can charge at home, that's fine, right? But if you want to go long distances, you need to have the charging network in place, right? If you have the charging network in place, I mean, that's
Yeah,
fine.
yeah. So most of these countries they will it's I mean like within EU, probably like not all the countries but most of the countries will I'd say putting money on infrastructure for charging networks right now. US will also shift. It's a very oil driven
So
country, but
there's a
yeah.
program being run by Volkswagen, Electrify America,
Yeah.
right?
To America. Okay, I didn't know about this. No.
Yeah. So yeah, that's in America.
Okay.
So I think it is Volkswagen, if I'm not mistaken. So I mean, Volkswagen, they are sort of they want to improve their image, brand image as well, right? Because they were caught in this whole Dieselgate thing. So I mean, that's the weak point, right? What happens is, although you have charging networks now, UK has this problem at least. So they sort of expanded, right? But they have certain vendors with certain charging cards, right? So sometimes you need to have like 10 cards to if you're if you want to charge from everywhere you go, right? So I mean, that's not very practical, right?
Yeah.
It's so you need to bring that down to a level where you can just have one card and you can pay to any charging.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
how it works with petrol, like, I mean, you don't need to you
Have
can
a
have
car.
multiple guys can have the petrol this thing, right? That's because it's standardized, right? That's because it's standardized. I mean, you can there's a standard charger, there's a standard dispenser, and you just need to pay the money, and there's a standard rate, right? So that level of standardization would need to come in, right? Once that comes in, it's easier for anyone to just put up a charging station. It will just be putting up like a petrol station, right? Then you'll have like a snack area or like a area where you can chill, because it takes a bit longer than usual to charge your car, right? So that'll work out. So I mean, that's based on what the current technologies, right? So current technology is lithium-ion batteries. So when the whole solid state batteries come into play, charging won't be an issue. It will
Yeah.
just be like going to your fuel station, right? You just go in, pump in, with a few minutes you're done. You can just go ahead.
Is there? I haven't read up on solid state like batteries. Is there any update or like any progress on this? Because I read up some time ago, but nothing recently.
Yeah, they're getting there, right? So if I'm not
They'll
mistaken, it's
probably start
alone.
with phones if they succeed, right?
Definitely, they'll not start with the whole cars piece anyway. They'll start with the small electronics, right? But the the benefit is higher for cars, right? I mean,
Yeah.
phones, we don't need. I mean, if we have it, it's good, right? If we have that battery, it's good. But I mean, currently my phone lasts long enough for me, at least, to work. I mean, I don't need. I wouldn't pay extra to get the battery even more. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm fine with what I have right now.
Because like anyway the like batteries are hitting their how do you say, they can't be further developed in the current level of batteries like lithium ion batteries which are in most devices. They can't be developed further to have different way of
Yeah.
charging, to have different level of capacity apart from increasing the size of the device. So
Yeah.
this is something that they have to figure out.
And doing tricks like having, but that's actually for charging, not for battery capacity per se. So what they do is they split the battery into two,
Okay.
right? And when you charge it, you charge both batteries simultaneously.
Okay.
So
So that's
it
why,
feels like you're charging it
yeah.
faster.
So that's why, like in for an example, in MacBooks, they have the battery has few cells. It's I think
Mm-hmm.
1, 2, 3, 4, 4 or 5. If you have opened a MacBook, it has 5 different batteries which are connected together
Mm-hmm.
in the
Mm-hmm.
MacBook. So that's probably the same thing that they're using in the MacBooks compared to the
In the
other
phone. So
laptops.
all these 60-watt charging things, that's they do it like that. But I
Oh,
mean, you don't need to charge it as so. That's the other thing, right? So um, uh, you can, if you have solid state batteries can be charged much fast as well,
mm.
right? So
Yeah,
that
yeah.
you have that benefit on your side. So yeah,
Let's hope
let's
it,
hope
it,
that
it
they figure that part out pretty
so
soon. But yeah,
when we
let's
were
see.
discussing
I can't
about
wait to.
this, I actually thought like we had few other topics we can think of what we could go to next. But like when I saw this photo that I'm sharing right now, and thinking about the upcoming new, like most upcoming vehicles, you can't actually repair them or like repair them by yourselves, right? Most of the new vehicles that are coming, especially electric ones, because either you don't have the, usually old vehicles, if you can learn, you can take things apart and fix
You
them by
can,
yourself
even you
to,
yourself can do it, right?
yeah,
Yeah,
to a certain
anyone
extent
can
you can do
repair it.
it by yourself. But newer vehicles, it's a little bit difficult. So a conversation that's coming up with both new vehicles as well as electronics is like right to repair, being able to repair your devices, or if there are experts who can still repair, can you repair, get these devices repaired by them outside of the original, like the production company.
Mm.
Like the bigger examples that like these days are being discussed is Apple, for an example. They, yeah. So most of their devices, not just Apple is the a bigger name, but it's the same case with most new Samsung phones.
Yeah, I mean,
uh,
most of these guys, they don't
yeah,
that's what they follow, right?
yeah.
I mean,
And then
Apple, Tesla, I think John Deere is one of those guys, right? So
yeah,
John Deere is very
the
so for those who don't know, John Deere
the
is like
tractors,
a
right?
tractor, this
Yes.
massive tractor. So it's like a green tractor that they have, is a tractor company. So they have all these electronics in place where they can, shut off if they don't pay you anything. They can shut off things and do shit like that as well. So I mean, the farmers try, when they try to repair it themselves, they sort of get blocked, and there's sort of the
Mm,
sirens that go off, and so the
yeah,
whole
yeah. So there's
this thing, right?
this,
So
especially like this movement is going ahead in the US mostly, because
yeah.
the companies who are doing this are mainly in the US. So there are people who are actually talking against this one article that I found. I think I mentioned this to you a few days ago as well. Like Louis Rossman, he's a
Oh yeah, Louis
yeah,
Russell.
yeah, he's a person who repairs PCs in New York, I think. And he's been a big voice in the US recently about this. So there's a lot of other YouTubers who are following up on this.
Mm-hmm.
Recently, I think MKBHD,
MKBHD
yeah,
post or
yeah,
something, right?
yeah, he posted a video which was really, I mean, controversial for him, because a lot of
Mm.
people don't actually talk against companies like Apple, and especially people
Mm-hmm.
who like MKBHD who are reviewing their phones. They get these devices much earlier than other people. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, people were commending MKBHD, saying Marcus, saying that he was brave to actually talk against on this topic, because he's a person who's benefiting from these companies that he talked about. So
Yeah.
he has more things to lose, and
Let's see what happens.
yeah.
But I think
uh,
if they shut off, I mean, it's like this, right? So if they
it's a
do
bad move for
something
them.
to
Yeah,
Marcus, it's bad news for them, right? I
yeah,
mean,
yeah,
because Marcus has a massive following in the tech
yeah.
community
That
right now.
this is the thing. So he just
They're gonna
took
shoot
his
themselves in the
he's
foot.
big enough to talk these things right now,
Yeah.
and they can't actually do
Uh,
anything about it.
you know the guy's our age, right?
Really? I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
Um.
93. 93,
I,
92. He's probably 1 year older than me.
okay, then 92.
So,
Yeah. So this is. I mean, it doesn't. It's not a big topic, especially in Sri Lanka, because we still have places where we can get our repairs done. Most of the most electronics. Is it anything else?
mostly right. So that's gonna. I mean, the other thing is, uh, you won't get stuff that can't be repaired easily as well, because people in Sri Lanka frown upon that.
Yes, yes,
Right?
yes,
Even when
yes.
it comes to cars, right? The
Mm,
cars that are being sold, I mean, they'll be like, what spare parts? What's gonna happen to what's the spare part situation? How am I gonna repair this? Do I need to send it to somewhere, right? I mean, that's the first question that they ask, right? So,
yes,
and
yes, yes.
if the question is, you need to send to this authorized dealer somewhere in Singapore or Dubai, right? They're
They're
gonna be
not
like, screw
gonna.
this shit. I'm gonna get
Yeah,
something. I mean,
exactly.
that's how it works, right? So,
Yeah.
I mean,
With vehicles,
we are,
it's this still, especially
yeah,
even with most laptops, there's not a huge number of people who are buying MacBooks in Sri Lanka, or like
no, no,
the
no. But one thing is, it's expensive,
yeah,
right? And they can't do all their, illegal stuff on a MacBook.
yeah,
uh, illegal stuff.
yeah.
So I mean,
You
they can't
can,
do that.
but
You can, but I mean, it's easy. You can like do crazier things on because now
yeah,
MacBook, like the whole environment is very controlled, right?
yeah,
I mean, you get it with the whole you get it with macOS inbuilt, and
yes,
you
yes, yes,
can
yes.
that case is there, right? So when you buy a Windows laptop, you can like up, upload a cracked version of Windows 10 or something, do something like that, right?
Mm.
P-
But
Sri Lanka still want that flexibility,
yes, yes. So it's not
right?
a
I
good
mean,
market
I don't know
for.
why, but they still want it.
Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah. With
for I mean to go into that market, because uh, so this whole issue with repairability. So now earlier we were able to sort of remove the backs of the phone and take out the battery and do
mm,
all that, right?
yes,
And people that went away, but the thing is they couldn't really do anything about it, because all the phones were like that, right?
yeah, yeah.
And if you wanted a smartphone at a point, the battery just came built in, you can't do anything about it,
Mm.
right? And people had to change reluctantly,
Yeah, yeah,
unfortunately.
yeah.
I
But
mean,
still in Sri
stuff
Lanka,
like that they would do,
but still, like there's a
other
lot
stuff
of
no.
repairs being done on sealed phones in even in Sri Lanka. Most of the repair shops, they just
Yeah,
take it apart and put batteries, different batteries in. Uh,
yeah.
maybe
They so I got a phone. I actually did repair on my own, actually, for one of the
really.
phones, so an iPhone. Replace the battery. Yeah, sometime about 2 or 3 years back. I got the battery from Amazon. I got it through Amazon. I think like I got it through a friend. I got her to get it and brought it down here.
Mm,
And I took apart so because I mean that time you can iPhone 6. It's an iPhone 6, right? So it's like
okay.
an old iPhone. So I just watched the tutorial. I took it apart. I used my sister's hair dryer to sort of make the connection loose, got it out, did all that, right? So I mean it was kind of fun. I
Yeah.
almost so while I was removing the battery, I sort of pierced the old battery a bit, and the sparks flew out. It was a bit dangerous. So yeah, I need to be
Yes.
careful. But yeah, it was fun. It was fun. It was
Yeah,
fun.
yeah, yeah. So it can still be done. Like it can be done on older
For
devices, on older
older
iPhones.
devices,
Yeah,
not. I wouldn't dare touch my new iPhone now, man. I
yeah.
mean,
Maybe in like
it's like
3-4 years, if you have the same phone, you'll then experiment on it. But
probably maybe.
when you're
Still
getting ready
not
to
sure.
buy a new
Depends on.
phone, you'll experiment on it. That's what happens.
No, that's the thing. I wouldn't still, because I'd want to sell it,
Okay.
right? I mean, that's the whole part of having the iPhone, right? You can sell it still at a very premium
Yeah,
price.
yeah,
It
yeah, yeah.
doesn't lose value like Samsung devices and all that, right?
But I think this is also changing. Maybe not in Sri Lanka, but globally, this the I think maybe not on iPhones, but on MacBooks, the prices are going down comparatively, isn't it?
Yeah, 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 yeah.
When you compare to Windows devices, there are much more expensive Windows laptops now
So
compared to the
it's
MacBook.
price per performance, right? That you need to look at.
Mhm.
So if you let's say either the MacBook Air is $999, right?
Mm.
So if you buy a equivalent PC, right, it doesn't have the same performance.
Yeah, yeah, but
Right.
Even so, like even if you buy a laptop in the same range, it's more expensive as well. Windows laptops in the same, like the
Mm-hmm.
premium thin
Mm-hmm.
professional laptops category, it's more expensive,
Yeah.
like the Dell XPS 13, uh,
Oh yeah, those are very expensive, right? Those
LG
I think start at
Gram,
around $1,200 or something.
more, I think 1400, I think, or
1,400?
200,
No,
yeah,
no,
1200, 1000 maybe. Yeah.
expensive.
So if you want, like if you want a laptop like that, I think for more people, MacBook is a much better choice these days in that category of
Yeah.
devices.
So the thing is now it's like this, right? So the MacBook, the iPhone, we are going back to that whole topic again,
Yeah.
but we just want to discuss. I mean, if you're not doing a lot, right? If
Yeah.
you have very basic stuff needs,
Hmm.
go for a MacBook. I mean, no point of going for
The
a
MacBook
Windows.
can do a lot of advanced work as well. Like
Yeah,
I do
it can
video
do
editing
it
and
can
photo
do
editing.
advanced. No,
Yeah.
not that it can't, right? So
Yeah.
I mean,
It's not the
what
best
what
device for it, but
it's like this, right? So it's very optimized for certain things,
mm,
right? So if you're a very sort of avid if you're like a programming guy, you need a MacBook, right?
mm,
If you're like a video editor, photo editor, that sort of like professionals also use MacBook because it's very streamlined, the workflows and
mm,
everything.
mm,
But even for a like a normal person, a MacBook Air,
mm.
right? It has everything you need,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
right? It has everything you need. I mean, look at the quality of your 2015 MacBook
Yeah, yeah.
webcam and my this is actually late. This is 2018 or 2019
Mm,
model. It's a HP Pavilion something. I
mm.
don't know. I mean, look at. I mean, that's because there's inbuilt processing, right,
Yeah,
on
yeah,
that.
yeah.
It's all it sort of is the package is sort of put together and
Yeah,
it just
yeah, yeah.
works, right?
That's the thing.
That's the thing. So I mean, Mac
I think the MacBook
if
only
it's
doesn't work if you're going for very specialized cases.
exactly,
Uh,
exactly,
I,
exactly. Like
yeah,
if you want to, I don't know, do if you have like
machine learning or
specialized
whatever.
software. No, but machine learning also it's
Yeah,
doable, man.
it's there now,
It's
right?
not.
Yeah, it's in the newer devices.
So
It's there.
it's like if you there are some niche workflows that you need a PC, you need PC software for, then you need to go for a PC, right?
Yeah,
But
yeah,
for general purpose use, you don't need any of that,
yeah, yeah.
right?
If you're if you're
The
a general user who dabs on all areas, it's good with the MacBook.
it's good. Mac is good. The only thing is why most people go for this whole go for Windows is they can install like cracked versions and stuff like that.
You can install that
No,
in
you can do it, but it's a bit harder, right? In Macs
not
for
exactly.
non-techie people. For not non-techie people, it's a bit.
Yeah, I mean
I don't know.
it's not, the thing is, it's not the same process that you have to follow on Windows, but
Uh-huh.
it's almost the same process and the
Yeah,
number
the
of
thing is,
steps.
man, the thing is like this, right? So if you look at a normal non-techie guy, I
Yeah,
mean, they
yeah,
want
yeah,
to
yeah,
with what they know, right? And if
yeah,
Mac is, it's
yeah,
like it might not be,
yeah.
it be like certain steps
And
are
it's less
reversed and stuff like
available.
that.
It's less available. Like
Yeah,
softwares are less
exactly.
available. Like cracked
Less
versions are.
available.
It's not that available now for Mac games, especially less.
Yeah. Other point is gaming. So
Yeah,
games, Mac is useless.
yeah.
Not useless. I wouldn't say useless, but I
Far
mean,
behind.
not a lot of games far
Yeah,
behind.
yeah.
There are some
Um,
games for the Mac that come in, but
that's hopefully gonna be solved if the whole cloud gaming works out sometime soon.
so yeah, cloud.
I actually used Stadia. Was it Stadia? Like I used it. Like they gave
Yeah.
out 2 weeks, 2 months of
How was
access.
that? I don't know, man. It's a failure, right? They are closing it down. Google
Yeah, yeah,
Game
yeah.
Studios is being shut down or something,
It
right?
wasn't bad, but and like I played pretty good games on the MacBook, but like it still uses some sort of resources to stream. You need to have a really good internet connection,
Mm-hmm.
or
Mm-hmm.
else it just sometimes it still breaks. But it was
Right.
pretty good if you have a really good internet connection and an average
Yeah. So that's.
device.
I
You
don't think
can
anyone in Sri Lanka has a really good internet connection,
no no no, you can't
especially
play.
dialogue users.
No.
I'm just gonna go and say it, man. Screw
Yeah,
it.
it's pretty bad. Yeah, cloud gaming wouldn't work in Sri Lanka for the next 10-15 years,
Yeah.
probably.
Oh man, that's sad.
Yeah, unless
I mean, yeah.
something
I mean,
happens.
it's it's, I mean, I just, throw joke at about particular company, but I mean, there's a fundamental issue that we need to solve as well, right? That you need to improve the bandwidth that's coming into the
Yeah.
country as well, right? So
Yeah, yeah.
that's a separate thing, but yeah, you can't really play
This is where
online.
this,
You
this
can
is
play
where
online games. You can't stream games online.
this is where they need to get loans from, and like what the hell. Anyway. Okay.
Yeah, anyway, rather than getting loans to get bloody vehicles for the ministers, right?
Yeah, yeah. Sad stories.
Anyway,
We can before we can round things up, we can
do we have
talk
time?
about the Twitter membership thing. It's a relatively small topic.
Oh yeah,
We can
go
talk
ahead.
about it, and then after that we can
I've
finish.
seen that. I didn't read up too much on it because I mean, I didn't pay
So
much
yeah,
attention.
let me open this up here. So Twitter is going to start a premium category, paid membership layer, which they give certain extra features for the users. But again, from what I read, it's not worth.
What are these extra features?
Yeah. So let me see.
What are these extra features? I'm dying to find out what the extra features are.
So Twitter Blue will feature a new function called collections, which will let users save and organize their favorite tweets. So you can, like, let's say, star your tweets and categorize them to different sections. Save the tweets. This is one, and undo tweet. These are the only two things that they're saying right now.
Okay, undo. So wait,
But
undo or edit?
undo tweet. I don't know what undo.
What does that mean? What does undo
So
mean?
it's similar to Google's undo send button. So you can post it, and like it'll give you few seconds to stop it from being posted. It's not edit. It's just
Oh God,
a
man! Why don't
worthless.
they? Okay.
It's a worthless
Yeah.
feature. The company is working on the ability to adjust the duration of the undo tweet from 5 seconds up to 30 seconds. So you can, it's worthless. Like you can delete the tweet if you want to, even after you post it.
Yeah.
So it's practically worthless. Like, but the edit, they'll probably include more features coming up, or they will introduce this edit feature to a higher tier probably. That's that's what they're going to do. This is what
Probably
I
you
read.
have to pay $2,000 a month to get
Yeah,
that.
to edit
I
your
don't know.
tweets. Like total bullshit. So
I'm not sure why they aren't doing it. I have a feeling, just to say, I mean,
it's a
because
pretty
okay,
easy feature. Why?
it's like this, right? So I mean, to look at it, in another way, if you don't allow an edit feature, right? What you can, I mean, you would think more before tweeting as well.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
mean,
yeah.
users will do that, right? So I mean, at the expense of typos, right?
Yeah.
You can't correct typos, of course. I mean,
This is actually more important for people with a lot of followers than less followers. So people with more followers, your tweet is seen as soon as you post it.
yeah,
Like
yeah.
at least, yeah, a lot of people see. So for them, their tweets, I'll say they need to be more responsible with their tweets. That's I guess the only explanation.
Responsible. So I mean, that's the thing. I think that's what they're going for. But I mean, as a this thing, I mean, you tend to make mistakes, right? You can type
Yeah,
a G as an H or F or something, right? That can happen.
in the era of autocorrect, it's almost impossible to type
Yeah,
correctly.
exactly.
It's just,
You can easily miss something, right?
yeah, I feel they're just trying to, how to say, separate themselves from other social media by this aspect, but it's not something that exceptional.
I mean, it's not annoying. I mean, people don't quit Twitter because of that, right?
Yeah,
It's just, they're just annoyed about it. But
yeah.
yeah, it's something to talk about.
Another feature
I
that I
guess.
would like to is have translations on let's say YouTube comments maybe.
Oh,
Yeah, because most in Twitter it's there. Like you can translate it to it if it's in different language. You can, the translation is there, but it out of the social media that we use, Twitter, like YouTube is one of the bigger ones that doesn't have translate features for the
YouTube
comments.
doesn't have that. So, but YouTube has like generated captions, closed
Captions,
captions,
yes.
and all that, right?
Captions
Yeah,
also.
but
Captions
not
also. They
comments.
changed how the captions work. Back, I think, yeah, last year, sometime until last year, people were able to, like, viewers were able to submit captions to videos, and the owner has to
Oh,
accept the captions, and they will be visible. But now the creators themselves have to put captions onto the videos, and like
okay.
community subs are not allowed. So
Right.
yeah, that's shall we close the discussion on that, or are there any other
Yeah,
topics?
I think we can probably. I think it's been about 1 hour, right?
Yeah, exactly 1 hour.
Viewers might be falling asleep if it
Yeah.
goes.
Yeah. So the topics
So
today were
so just wanted to mention. So there are some people. I should have mentioned it in the beginning because there are some people who actually sort of. I mean, they listen to a podcast and they sort of fall asleep on that, right? So I
yeah.
found. I mean, it's nothing like negative. It's just that, I mean, that's how you some people listen to podcasts, right? So while they're
Yeah.
sleeping, they just put the headphones on and they just sort of concentrate and then they just fall asleep. I have a few friends who do that apparently, and
Yeah.
so
And sometimes
shout
it's
out to you
like
guys.
some of the voices actually help that, like the way people speak, and
Yeah,
it's actually pretty calming.
and there's no like background music or anything like
Mm,
that, right? So it's just the person's voice who's
yeah.
communicating, and that
Something that I
helps some
was
people fall
thinking
asleep.
was also I got to install what is Clubhouse, was it Club, yes,
Clubhouse,
Clubhouse. Yeah, it's available
haven't
on
tried
Android
that
now.
yet, yeah.
So
Uh-huh.
we can maybe
But
actually
you need an
try.
invitation to get in, right?
Yeah, I got an invitation from Pasindu. Yeah,
Oh, hey,
yeah.
dude, send me an invitation. I will try it out.
Okay, I'll send you an invitation. And I was thinking we can maybe it's a place where we can do an episode like live if people want to join. It's also a possibility. So maybe if our viewers want that
We can
later
actually
on
do it on Twitter if you want to.
Twitter live.
Twitter has like these discussion spaces or whatever.
Okay, let's discuss this after we end the discussion, and
Yeah, let's
yeah, let's keep it up. Okay, so thank you very much for listening to our non-relevant chat at the end as well, and hope you enjoyed the topics
yeah,
that we discussed today. We'll try to keep up like this. We'll be looking into more trending discussions over the past week, and we'll be coming up with
yeah.
these topics because we feel that it's more relevant that way.
Yeah, and by the way, sorry guys, I think we missed the week because I was sick last week. We couldn't
Yes,
record the episode. So sorry about that. I'm feeling better now.
we'll it's still okay. We'll manage to keep going. So yeah. Then we'll end the discussion for today. Thank you for listening, and hope to see you guys in the next week again. Be safe, and good luck with everything.
Stay safe, guys.